Good morning and welcome to Fresh Air, our final episode for season 5. It's been a wonderful year that we've had more presentations than we have in the past, and they, of course, are all excellent. Today, our guest speaker is going to be Rene Walz. But before we begin and introduce Rene, I'm going to ask that we have our opening prayer.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Dear God, hear my prayer for unity, that we may all love each other as you first loved us. May we act with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience toward one another, living in unity with you. May we lay down our swords, set aside our grievances, and forgive each other as you forgave us. Lord, lead us to take what you've given us, love, mercy, grace, forgiveness, and spread those in this world, lavishing them upon others in our lives. May your love bind us together in perfect unity. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive us as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Amen.
Thank you so much, Winona. Today, Rene Walz, who's a member of Abingdon Episcopal Church, has graciously offered to share her experiences that she had in a mission. And I'm not going to talk much about that, but she admitted that she's very nervous. And I said, we all are, but I think after her first few minutes, she's going to realize that this is a very safe, warm community, and she should feel very comfortable to speak with all of us. So, Rene, have at it, girl.
Okay. My name is Rene Walz. I moved down here from New York in 2002. Found Abington and just, I love it here. I am a certified registered central supply tech at Riverside Walter Reed Hospital, the lead tech for the whole Riverside system. I've been doing my job, which is washing, inspecting, and sterilizing instruments for surgery for over 30 years. It's my passion. I love my job. I was supposed to retire and haven't done that yet because I love what I do. But that day is coming. In March of 2019, pre-COVID, I was given an opportunity from a doctor and his wife to go on a medical mission trip, which I have always dreamed of doing. It was an eye opener, gave me a sense of fulfilling a dream that I've always wanted to do and doing something great for people. Even though I just did the instruments and their hands were on the patients, I still was a part of this wonderful team and a wonderful experience. It's very touching to me because of some of the stuff I'd seen and heard. And I'll share some of that with you. I really wish I could have downloaded my pictures to share those because I had some really wild pictures to share. When we went over, we went to do gallbladder surgery. A lot of these people wait 2 to 3 years to have their surgery done. And to watch them go, through this line to sign up to get their surgery and get put on a waiting list once you've fulfilled that list, it's kind of heartbreaking because you want to help everybody. Once their surgery was completed, they would be given Tylenol for, the pain. We have such a luxury here with all the drugs that are at our access. So to see them just be happy that they're getting Tylenol to recover was amazing. God, I'm losing track here. Sorry. I ended up, we did like 30 different surgeries that week. It was like within 4 days, we did 30 gallbladders. At one point, our host, because we stayed at like a camp, he took myself and 2 other people on a tour of the Mayan ruins. He wanted us to get a feel for the culture, that was amazing. To see this land that has been here for years and years and years, and to realize how intelligent these people were back then, it just blew my mind. Um, some of the landscape was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, while other stuff that we've seen, a lot of poverty. Um, and that was disturbing to see. What was really heartbreaking was seeing the military police everywhere. You could not go down a road without having them standing in the middle of the road, and they could stop you for whatever reason they chose. We did get stopped at one point, which apparently they're not supposed to stop American visitors. But we luckily had our passports and everything went well. The most disturbing thing for me when I went there on this day that they took us on this tour, they took us to visit this family. And I can't even say that they lived in a house. It reminded me of a cave. They had like 3 bedrooms that had these super large beds in it where about 5 or 6 people would sleep. The conditions were just unbelievable. They had a little tiny TV about the size of a laptop that 3 little boys were trying to watch a program. Their sister, who was 15 at the time, was had to quit school to stay home to take care of the family while the parents went and worked out in the coffee bean field. Apparently, from what I was told, the military police, when the girls turn 16, they will grab these girls and have their way with them. This is the upsetting part. The girls would then be released, excuse me, and they would either go home, and I mean, just quality of life for them was not good. The ones that did not go home just wandered off and nobody would ever see them again. Um, it just made me want to grab every single child and bring them home with me. It just made me realize why people come across the border to our country, because there is some of that, but it's not how they live over there. Their life is very hard. And like I said, just to be able to go over there, and even though my hands were not on these people, but to be able to help with the surgical instruments, it gave me a little bit more comfort to be able to help in some manner. Um, the foundation that I went with is called the Rice Foundation. They are amazing. They helped set up this camp for these missions to come over to help these people. They've also set up a school for the children to get them out of this situation. And the kids are growing phenomenally from it. It's helped them tremendously. The boys, the younger boys that have not reached into the school yet, because I think it's more like a middle school, high school type thing. There's a lot of the boys that will start playing soccer because soccer is one of their ways of getting out of this condition. If they get, as they go along professionally, they can be pulled out and into a regular soccer team, and that would help them, maybe their family as well, get out of poverty. Um, Gosh, I don't know what else to talk about. It was a lot to see, a lot to take in. At one point when we were in the clinic, which again, I wish I had the pictures, because the area that I worked in was a dentist office. And what I work in now is so confined. Everything is sterile. We don't have windows to look at. If you come into my department, you have to be in scrubs. You have to have a bouffant on. You have to have shoe covers on. Everything is sterile. To work in this environment, the doctor's wife kept saying to me, I just need you to have an open mind. Just be flexible and have an open mind. The first day I walked in and I looked around, I was like, I'm working here. She said, open mind. You got to have an open mind. My sinks, instead of having the hydraulic sinks that I'm used to in my facility, they're all stainless steel. I actually cleaned instruments out of turkey roasting pans. It was quite a change. My choice of detergent for cleaning these instruments was something they used way back in the day. It was powdered Sidex, which is actually used for flexible cystoscopes and ureteroscopes. but it worked well enough for the instruments. The autoclave that cooks the instruments, sterilizes them for the procedure. We have these huge things that run by steam. The steam is pumped in through the facility. This autoclave that they had, the doctor and his wife actually bought. This was the bad thing, is that because of the government over there, they were not allowed to bring that autoclave to the clinic for at least a year. They held it, would not release it, and about a year later, they finally got it. So, but the autoclave was interesting. We had to add water to it to actually get it to produce the steam. I worked with a lot of weird things, and it was like, okay, I think I can handle this. It was very nice to get back home and deal with what I'm used to. But again, it was a good feeling to be able to flex into something different and be able to help. Another heartbreaking situation was that while I was there, we had a door that you could actually look out, and I'm not used to that. Uh, at that door, children would line up, and I was like, "Oh, I've got some candy. Maybe I'll give it to them." Well, I was given strict instructions: do not give them anything, because once you give two of them something, you'll have about 40 of them. It just made me sad, because we even had to turn our backs when we were sitting having our lunch, because where I cleaned the instruments is where we ate lunch as well. Very bizarre. But again, very sad that these poor kids, I couldn't give them what I had, because I'm used to just giving. At work, my coworkers really flourish because I give them all kinds of snacks and stuff, because I worry about them not eating. Now here I'm in a place where I can't give that. I can't share with these children. But I saw what they meant, because the kids were everywhere, and just they were begging, and it just was rough. Um, we did get to enjoy, other things. They took us to different restaurants and stuff, so we had some relaxation. The camp that we stayed at actually had housing where we could stay, take showers and stuff. But as I looked around at the different homes in the area, they didn't have that. They don't have those luxuries. So it's a tough area to be in. Would I go back? Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the next trip that I can make. And there's a group out there called the Mercy Ship that has been reaching out to me, and I so want to make that trip as well. That one I have to commit to 6 weeks. So that will have to be something when I retire, I will do. Uh, I don't know what else to talk about. Has anybody got questions?
Feel free to chime in with a question.
So Renee, can I ask you two quick questions?
Absolutely.
When you came home, did you say, "I'll never complain again"?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
How
yeah.
long did it last?
Oh, it's still to this day. I'm grateful for what I have. I mean, my home is not in the greatest shape, but I have a home. I have a roof over my head. I have running water. They don't. So
Yes.
I'm very blessed, and I thank my lucky stars and thank God for everything I have.
You're a princess. And my second question, and it's very personal, did you feel that you could see the face of God while you were there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, somebody had to be watching over those children, and I know it was him. He was there.
Thank
Renee,
you.
can you thank you for being here and for
Mhm.
being willing to share your story with us. Can you talk about the spiritual connection and your gratitude about those experiences? Like you've described to us the difference between being there and then coming back home, but can you describe like spiritually how that affected you in the
Oh,
not just in the short term while you were there, but like in the
right.
long term?
Well, it has. I've always been a person that I like to get involved in things, and it's pushed me more to want to help people more that are in tough situations, that need that extra hand, that need somebody that can help them out or just be there for them. Um, I had a friend, or still have a friend, thank God, who is an alcoholic. And years ago, when he was able to reach out and ask for help, I would meet him wherever I could, because I knew he was in need of somebody to push him in the right direction. Um, there's been so many people that I have stepped out to try to help. And I know it's because of my spiritual feelings here that everybody needs somebody in their life. And it took me a while to get myself to be in one spot and be with God myself, so that I can, like, coming to church. It's so important to me to be there every Sunday. I mean, there are times that I take vacation and stuff, but to be in the church, to have that feeling of, it's like being needed or being wanted. And I just feel like everybody needs that feeling. They need to know that somebody is out there for them. I hope that makes sense. I know I feel like rambling.
You're doing beautifully. Did you, I'm sorry, did you talk about how many surgeries you folks did while you were there?
Yeah, we did about 30 surgeries in about 4 days.
So it just went on all day long.
Oh yeah, yeah, nonstop. There was one story. Oh, I did forget to tell this one. Because of their poverty, some of the people didn't have transportation, and I came back from this trip where they took me to, like I said, the Mayan ruins, and we were talking over dinner about how one of the patients had been called. They had one patient couldn't make it, so they called the next person in line. And she was very grateful she could come. And she told him, I'll get myself a horse and I'll be there. I was freaking out. I said, a horse? She can't come by a horse. She's got to be able to go home. And they were like, don't worry. She's already understanding that she's got to come by a vehicle. She did, however, get a horse and ride to a neighbor's house. And the neighbor brought her in and brought her back home. How she got home from the neighbor's house, I don't know. I'm hoping not back on that horse because you cannot ride after surgery. So it was kind of amusing, but very disturbing to me that this is their mode of transportation. I mean, horses are great, don't get me wrong, but not when you have to have surgery.
So
Renee, it's Cindy. I have a
Uh-huh.
question. Did you have to cut the skin, or was it the arthroscopic type for the gallbladder? And were you allowed to use, or did you have iodine?
I don't know if they had iodine in the facility or not, but I do know they had a cut. They had to do the open surgery because we didn't have. Um, well, come to think of it, they may have. You know what? I got to glance at one of my pictures because it'll tell me. Because I had to assemble the train. It's been a couple of years since I assembled that, so I can tell by the one instrument that we used. Because if it's a long one, it very easily goes into a hole that is made in the patient,
Yeah.
not a surgery. Okay, it was here. I just had it. All right, I can't find it, but you know what? I'm thinking yes, we did have the laparoscopic graspers, so they may have been able to do that.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if they had allowed those
Yeah.
into the country.
Yes, as a matter of fact, yes, we did. So there was laparoscopic surgery, so they actually got it easier instead
But
of being cut wide
did,
open.
did you still have to, they still had to put in a couple of stitches afterwards to
Yes,
close up that hole, right?
yes. Oh yeah, because it's a small hole, but they still have to stitch that up. Here, we get to use Dermabond. They don't have to stitch. Dermabond is like crazy glue.
Yeah.
But there, of course, there was suture. And a lot of our supplies were donated. This is a disturbing thing, is that things that expire in our world is fine for a third country. So if we had suture that expired a year ago, they can still use it in another part of the world.
It's amazing.
It
I
is. It
I have
really
a
is.
question. I have a
Yes.
question. So, in comparison with 30 surgeries in 4 days, in your world, about because you all do all kinds of surgeries, but if
Yes.
we just talk about gallbladders,
Right.
what would be the chance they do 30 gallbladders in 4 days? I guess throughout the system, because you're throughout the Riverside system, correct?
Right.
As far as
Right.
yeah. So what's the comparison?
Well, if it was just my facility, no, there's no way. We would do maybe 10 in a week, but to do 30 in a week was a lot for one place. Now, if you're talking system wide, yeah, it would be easy to do 30 in a week because we've got about four different facilities where they're operating.
Mhm.
So, but here you're talking, small clinic, one room, one doctor doing 30 procedures in 1 week.
Is
Renee,
this a doc?
Renee, I have a question, but I think Margaret has a question first.
Okay.
Thanks. I was just wondering where you were in Honduras. I went on a trip to our little home for roses in San Pedro Sula.
But we
About-
landed there, but we went to Copan.
okay.
So,
Okay.
all
So
right.
you're far more remote than.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. The nearest hospital was like 4 hours away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Renee, when you went to Copan,
Hmm.
were you able to go up into where the ancient Mayan ruins were? And were you able to go to where the woman gave birth?
They did take us to the Mayan ruins, but we didn't get to go to that other section that you're talking about. We didn't have enough time to get up there.
I think that was one of the most spiritually profound experiences that I have had,
Hmm.
where the woman gave birth. It was about 2 miles from the village, and the
Wow.
woman had to go by themselves, as was explained to us,
Right.
because they had to be able to survive.
Right.
And if they couldn't do that by themselves, then then it went a different way.
Wow.
But there was a rock that was probably about 5 feet wide, maybe. And kind of roundish, but there was a rock where they gave birth, and it had like indentations on it. And I actually sat in the rock and got goosebumps and chills,
Wow.
like a birthing rock.
Right. Right.
It was just amazing.
Wow.
That was in Copan.
Yeah. If I ever get back, I'll go find that.
Renee, how many people in the team went over?
We had about 7 of us. There was
really?
about 7. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We had, there was Dr. Wrestler, his wife, myself, Kathy James, who was our anesthesiologist. There was a gentleman named Bill, who was a nurse. And then a friend of Kathy's came along that helped us, with supplies and stuff. He would help make sure that things were set up the way we needed them. And if he needed to run for food or anything like that while we were at the clinic.
Wow.
So he was our gopher.
So you had the nurses that were assisting also did the recovery of the patients?
No, they did have someone, Dr. Wrestler's wife actually helped with the recovery.
Okay.
So, and I believe Bill was the nurse in the room.
Right. And was there general anesthesia at all? Or did they?
As far as I know, they did have general anesthesia.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We have a lot of nurses in the group. Is gallbladder normally a in and out one day kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely. It's what they call same day surgery.
Okay.
So years ago, the only way you could do it was open up the patient. Nowadays, it's laparoscopic, where they just make 3 little incisions. They're able to insert, these very thin graspers and scissors. I mean, we have like 12 different items that they can choose from for the procedure. So usually they use about 3 or 4 of them, and it's a done deal. Depends on how bad the gallbladder is.
That was interesting, Terry, when you asked that question, and several of you nodded your heads. So,
Renee,
Pat has a question.
what I'm struck by too is the trust that those patients had in your team.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing because, I mean, we're, coming in from another country, and they're just like, okay, we'll take our chances. And they did.
Mhm.
No.
How did they get lined up to take the surgery?
There is a clinic where they would be told by the churches that, you know, the clinic was coming, you know, that it was going to be happening, what the date was. And they told them what day to go to register. And I'm telling you, there was a line wrapped around the building. It was amazing. And like I said, we had to turn people away, but put them on a wait list so that in the event, like we had, the one person couldn't make it. So we were able to call the next person in. So it just was terrible to think that you had to leave people behind, that they couldn't get their procedure done.
Mm.
And then unfortunately, things were getting a little crazy with the government, so we were not able to go back the following year.
You were saying that now the name of the foundation is that the wrestler or Rice?
Rice was a woman and her husband. I met her. Her name is Brenda. Her and her husband had, he was a dentist, and they would go over and do the cleft palate surgeries for the children.
Mm.
And this is the story that I was told, is that they did it one time and they went back home to Pennsylvania, and the husband was like, oh, he goes, I can't leave, you can't do this to these people. I have to go back. So he sold his Lamborghini and they made the Rice Foundation. So they started creating this foundation where they could go back, bring people over to help with different situations. And, you know, the gallbladders seem to be the most popular. So, but I went through that Rice Foundation to, you know, do this mission. And she's phenomenal. She's a very warm woman, very caring. I was very honored to have met her.
How did you get recruited?
There's a funny story. I was playing bunco with the doctor's wife, and they got talking about the trip, and they realized that I was listening a little bit more and more than anybody else. So after everybody left from the game, I sat and talked with them a little bit more. And God bless them, they paid for my tuition to go. For, you know, the what do they call it? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, it gave me room and board. I had to get my plane ticket, so I did reach out to the Archdiocese, and thank God they provided some money for the plane ticket. So between all the help, I was able to get over there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Rene, do you feel that the gallbladder was an issue simply because of dietary or nutrition over there?
It could be. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. You know, if any of you've ever had an attack of it, and I did really severe, I was on the floor. I know those people were so glad to see you guys and say, well, yeah, take me. I don't care if I'm number 39, but
Well,
it has to be done because
there was a woman that had the
that's the only way
surgery.
you get a relief from it.
Yeah,
Really.
yes, definitely. There was a woman that had the surgery, and this was the year prior to me going. The doctor's wife had told me that she was in the recovery room with her and saw the woman crying, and she went over to her and asked her if she was in pain, and she said, no, you don't realize how relieved I am that I don't have that pain anymore. And these people live with this pain for 2 to 3 years. They wait that long to have the procedure.
Mm.
Because like I said, the nearest hospital is 4 hours away, and they don't have insurance. There's nothing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Rene, you talked to me about how the government interferes with your good works. You want to tell them about medication trying to be sent to them? And
They don't get any, like I said, the autoclave itself was held up for a year. So as far as I know, they kind of like filter through things, and nothing gets passed through until they give it their blessing. The government is not the greatest over there. I heard recently that things are starting to get a little bit better, but I don't know how true that is because, you know, I don't follow too much the politics over there. I just know that it was horrible seeing the military police everywhere, and I don't think they're there for the people. They're there for the government.
Terry,
I would not feel safe living there.
Terry, I think Christy might have a question.
Okay.
I do have a question. Thank you. So Rene, with seeing that poverty and that desperation, how did you, I don't know, how did you process and remember and try and how did you process and remember that God is good even though you see these things? And can you just tell me a little bit about how you process that and your reflection on that?
Well, I had to realize that we were able to get there to help these people. Not that we could help them out of the poverty. I just had to feel that they would be taken care of. Things work out. You know, I've always felt that, you know, God watches over us and will do what has to be done for us. We have to also help ourselves. And it was hard because that whole entire week that I was there, I did have some doubts. And when I came back home, just knowing that, you know, those trips will be made again and again, I just know that the people will get help eventually. It'll come to them. So it's like you got to hang on to that hope.
Well, does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask Rene?
I'd just like to make a statement, which is, you know, your story is inspiring, and I always hear about mission trips, and I've been in the kind of the mindset of, well, there's plenty of poverty here at home, but the feedback I've gotten is you don't know poverty till you've seen overseas poverty.
Exactly.
And I think you're probably inspiring other medical people to think about joining mission.
I hope so. It's very important to do it. It's rewarding because it opens your eyes. It definitely opens your eyes when you get there and you see what other people live through. It makes you more appreciative. For me, it pushed me to help more people too. I'm connected with helping with the homeless. I've worked with the guest shelter. I've taken a couple people under my own wing to help them out. So whatever I can do for people, as long as it doesn't cut my life, you know, I have to survive as well, but I will do what I can to help.
Once a giver, always a giver.
So, owner, I think she's saying something, Terry, but her microphone is
Okay, that would be,
muted.
There you go. Sorry, Rene. Yeah,
That's
I have to laugh a little bit, Rene, because I can sympathize with you. I worked in the operating room and worked in sterilization, and some conditions sometimes we had to work in were just unbelievable because I have a
Yes.
military background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I completely understand the things you have to adapt to make it environment sterile.
Exactly.
So I feel for you. I mean, I understand what you went through, what you go
Thank
through.
you.
But
Thank you.
it's a blessing that you could adapt to that because sometimes it's hard for people to understand what third world countries are really like. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
bless you. Bless you.
Part of my lighting was a dental chair.
Yeah.
The light that was over the chair actually came over my sink, so I
Yeah.
I was doing.
I feel you. I understand.
Yes.
Bless you.
Thank
Renee, I
you.
have one more question.
Uh-huh.
It has to do with self-care.
Okay.
In our spiritual journey, that need or yearning to help others.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't take care of me,
Right.
you know, so I want to kind of ask the question in that context of, you know, taking care of oneself is not necessarily selfish,
Right.
even though like keeping our balance about that,
Right.
I would say is a spiritual thing. Can you address that?
Yeah. People keep telling me I need to find more time for me, and I get that, and I try. One of my things that I do for myself is I make sure I get a massage once a month, and I go to Machicomico State Park for a weekend in the yurt, and that just brings me back to where I need to be after spreading myself so thin. But it's worth it. I complain a little bit, but not much because I feel sometimes I don't have anything to complain about. when I see other people the way they are.
Well, I don't know if everybody is better informed than I am, but you want to tell them a little bit more about the yurt, because I thought that was fascinating.
Uh, the yurt that's my safe haven, my peace and rest. It's like a huge canvas tent. It has a bed, a couch. It's got a little kitchen table in it, some chairs, and there's no electricity, so there's no air conditioning. And I will go in the dead of summer because I don't mind the heat, but the peace that I get when I go there is just amazing. To sit there and hear nothing but, the sounds around me of nature with birds and being able to see deer out in the field, or I had a wild turkey run by me not too long ago. It's just peace of mind for me and very relaxing. And I would suggest anybody to go do it. It's wonderful. And it's nice to have it right here in our backyard.
But no restroom, right?
No restroom. Well, there is a restroom. You have to walk
In the
to
back.
it. There is a restroom and showers even.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all the comforts of home to me.
Mhm.
Cooking out on an open flame, it's nothing better than that.
It's a beautiful park out there. Beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
It is. I'm glad it's there.
Well, normally when we have been doing these, we break into small group and discuss what we've heard, but we've never had the opportunity to do what we did today of speaking directly to the presenter, and bringing out more and more information. If any of you have a suggestion I'm asking you as a group, do you want to go into small group and just talk about mission work or talk about Rene? Or would you like to continue with where we are? We've got about 15 minutes left. And I'm going to leave it up to those of you that are here, what you would like to do with that.
I've got to leave because I got an appointment at 11 o'clock.
Okay, Cindy.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Bye, Cindy.
Thank you, Renee. You doing coffee hour tomorrow, aren't you?
I am. I got special treats tomorrow.
Oh,
Yay.
we'll see you
Ooh.
then.
Okay.
Thank you. All of y'all who are mothers, have a happy Mother's Day.
Oh,
Same to you, Cindy. Here's Cindy.
Thank you,
Cindy.
bye.
Renee, it was a pleasure talking to you. I have a grandkids ball game I need to get to. So
Okay. Well, you have a great day.
thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you too. And happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. Same to you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye. Bye, ladies.
Hi,
Bye-bye.
Diane. Thank you for coming.
Uh-huh.
So Renee,
Yes.
I guess we have kind of a small group. It looks like maybe we don't need to have breakouts. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm.
In 1982, I was stationed in Turkey,
Oh,
in Incirlik, Turkey, next to the city of Adana. It's on the central southern coast of Turkey on the Mediterranean. And we would drive 20 clicks to the beach and we
Ooh.
would pass yurts.
nice.
And there would be, maybe, they're pretty big, compared to,
Yes.
like, when I think of a tent, I think of like 2 or 4 people, but a yurt is, think more like 15 or 20 people, right? And there would be about 5 or 6 of them maybe on the
Nice.
on the coastline, on the way to the beach.
Right.
And the Turkish military would patrol on the beach with machine guns.
Ooh.
And I was stationed there, and they were there because they were trying to keep the children away from us.
Oh, wow.
And that was I was 22 years old when I went there. That was a really strange feeling,
Right.
that they thought I was an enlisted person in the Air Force, and they thought we needed to be protected from the children.
Oh, wow.
That was, I don't know what you call that,
I don't know. That's disturbing to me that they would try to keep children away. It's like, what could they possibly do?
because we wanted,
It doesn't pay, it isn't because they can't do anything.
So somebody like me, I wanted to give them something,
Right,
right? And that's why I mentioned it, because they were begging or would if they could,
right,
because they were impoverished.
right,
And they saw that we had things that they did not have.
right, exactly.
And so I thought the dynamic of that, like like protecting us from them, why didn't they help them?
Yeah, right.
It was a weird dynamic.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what the situation was in Honduras. I mean, these poor kids are out there and there was no one helping them.
Right.
So it was heartbreaking. We did at one point, we had brought soccer balls for the boys and they were lined up out on this field and they just kept throwing of course we had them deflated because it was the only way to get them over there. And they were tossing them out to the kids left and right and the boys were eating them up, but I'm looking and there's young girls that nothing, we had nothing for them. And I'm like, well, this isn't right.
Were the girls not allowed to play with the soccer balls?
No, they were not. They were not.
My sister did some work for John Snow Institute, which it was funded by USAID and World Health Organization, and they would go to third world countries. And she told me one time, this is years ago, she told me the best thing, if you're going to go on a trip like this, she said one of the best things that you can bring, because we have a give to mindset that isn't always the right one, but
right.
It's almost like by default, what can I give you?
Yes.
And she said that one of the best things you can give is a small, like you can get them at the dollar store, like a small pouch with a zipper.
Oh.
Because it's not a toy, it's something useful.
Absolutely.
They could put their Band-Aids or their coins or
good idea.
Small that would, and flat, like so it wouldn't take up room in a luggage,
right.
And she would always take like, a dozen or two with
Good
her.
idea.
So that she had something that she could, if she found herself in a situation where it would be helpful,
right.
because sometimes it's not.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We think sometimes that others who don't have what we have need to have what we have. And that's kind of a American mindset that's not always correct.
Right, exactly. Yeah, something we might find necessary, they don't.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. I'm going to let us go ahead and go into closing a little bit early here. I know it's a busy weekend for a lot of folks, and I really appreciate that 18 people came today. And I think that's terrific. And every time I go to the rector and say, I'd like a little more advertising on our side of the fence. He goes, well, how's it going? I'm going, well, when you get 15 to 18 people that will meet with you once a month to share their stories and their love of God and the world and each other, I think it's going terrifically. And I want people to realize that are participants, that maybe the 3 or 4 or 5 of us are pulling it together to offer it, but all of you make it happen. So if you know people, or if you want to participate and share your own story, don't ever hesitate. We might be slow to ask, but the ask is always there. And I'm just blown away that this has been 5 years.
That is a long time.
35,
40 of these. This is phenomenal.
Terry, I second that and want to thank you, like in front of everybody. I want to thank you for your effort and your energy and your passion for helping make this happen. I'm just really, really grateful for that. And, it was kind of exciting to me today that we had past presenters as part of our listening. Thank you, Christy and Diane, who had to leave. They've been past presenters, and it's kind of comforting, like, okay, for my ego, it's kind of comforting, but it's also kind of comforting spiritually that people who know what we're doing here come back.
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of why we do it, because it's comforting. And I think there's a difference between comfort and heal. Like if I want spiritual nourishment, it's not necessarily healing. It's like a way of life.
Right.
Like we are, in my opinion, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So when I say spiritual, it doesn't necessarily mean heal. But when I'm trying to be spiritual and I have healing, it's like, it's a good thing. So hopefully we have a mix of that, and hopefully we have some joy here as well, because I think that joy is part of spiritual wellness.
Thank you.
And I have to say, I have enjoyed hearing Renee's story so much. Not just the facts and the information, but what you experienced and how it made you feel, and what you're doing different in your life now because of that. It's just wonderful. I'll never look at you on Sunday morning and see the same person ever again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I could attest to Renee's giving spirit. When we were moving 5 years or so ago, she was my best supplier of good moving boxes from the hospital. She
We
just
have the
wheeled them
best.
right out here. I called her my box angel.
Yeah, we do get some great boxes.
Yes, and my husband and I went to Africa for a month, and we found the begging children too. And we were told to give them pencils. They liked pencils and baseball caps.
Wow.
So there's a couple of other things to think
Nice.
about. Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
So your adrenaline served you well.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate, once again, I appreciate everyone being here today and participating and putting, I hope, Renee at ease, because she has a wonderful story to share with all of us. And she is a giving person. And I'm just going to put in a little plug. If you ever need a tiramisu, she's a really good person to talk to. When she walks through that tiramisu bowl, the whole coffee hour stands up. It's like,
Trifle.
"Whoa,
It's
Renee
a
brought
trifle.
tiramisu."
Yeah, I'm bringing in a special trifle tomorrow.
Oh, trifle. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
That's it. You make me happy. Natalie, would you close us out in prayer today? And we'll see all of you, I hope, in September. We'll keep you posted on what we're doing. And as I said, if you have suggestions, whether it's format or people, we just want to keep it alive and helping one another to share their spiritual journeys. And that only happens if we all share. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Take care. Okay, Natalie?
So, the organizers, we'll stay on for a few minutes after everybody else leaves.
That's
Right.
correct.
Okay, let us pray. Lord, thank you for hope. We give thanks to you for blessing this project for another year. We're grateful for those who answer the call and share their wisdom with us. We give you thanks for all who carved out this space and allowed us to enter. Father, we cannot express our gratitude for all you have done for us through your awesome spirit. You have changed and transformed our lives. In this precious moment, we give you all the honor and glory. Amen.
Amen. Peace out, my friends.
Thank
Have a
you,
wonderful
everyone.
day.
Take care. Thank you so
Bye.
much. See you soon. Couple
Thank you
months.
for this opportunity.
Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you.